doing something about the rec care workers, variety of things. I'll stop with that so I don't take all day with every single issue, but no, it's a lot of what we're doing is local, but then inevitably as being state representatives, a lot of what we should be doing is going to apply to everyone in the entire state.
Everything Representative Turek said is absolutely accurate, and I do enjoy serving with both these gentlemen. As Representative Siegrist said, we don't always 100% of the time agree on the path forward, but at the end of the day, we all have the same thing in heart, and that is to make Iowa the best place to live, grow, and raise your families. Some of the things that we're looking at this session, a lot of what we heard on the campaign trail from across the state was property tax relief. And it's a very complicated issue because it affects the local entities, your county board of supervisors, your city councils, your mayors, but it also includes school finances. So we've been trying to address the issue as delicately as possible, but there's not one single right answer. Some of the other things we heard on the campaign trail was workforce housing. Heard from a lot in the business community and from citizens saying, hey, we need to get into a good home. The community is growing. Maybe a manufacturer wants to expand their operations, or they want to start a new operation somewhere. But if you don't have the houses for the population to live in, then you just can't have that workforce there. And along with that is access to childcare, making sure that for those folks that want to get out into the workforce, have the opportunity to have their children taken care of, whether that is by sending them to K-12 education, and or having daycare or preschool, and so we're looking at all those issues. They're not easy fixes to any of these things, but we are looking at that. And then, as Representative Turek said, we hear a lot from the folks in the health community about the reimbursement rates, not just for dentistry, but for Medicare overall. We are going to have increases in Medicare. And that is a substantial portion of the budget. It comes in second next to K-12 education funding. And so we're trying to address those, but as the session progresses, we will continue to have those conversations, take the input and feedback, and try and do the best that we can. The other thing the Speaker and I like to point out, Speaker Grassley and I, is that with now 66 members, unfortunately, with passing of Representative Graber, we still represent all 99 counties in Iowa within our caucus. We touch every county. And so we want to make sure that when we're looking at the funds that you give us for your tax dollars, where they're being distributed, whether it be in healthcare or Iowa Finance Authority, workforce housing, they're not just going to the major population centers in central Iowa or eastern Iowa. We want to make sure that it's getting back out into our rural communities and helping every corner of Iowa, because we represent every corner of Iowa. So, thank you.
Ditto to what's been said. Representative Turek referenced the bill that we have been working with the city and the county and various developers, having to do with greenfields legislation, which basically is going to make it easier for, if we can get it passed, to be able to build more housing in council-bluffs. Very important issue. I have got an agreement from the Ways and Means Chair that he likes the bill and he signed on to it. So that is something that will benefit the local community greatly. Most everything we do kind of does come back to the local community. As Representative Turek also said, with dentists and pediatric dentistry and so on, there's also within the budget right now, I think, a $15 million increase for nursing homes. Which is a really difficult issue across the state as well as here. And so a lot of those things come back right to council. Plus, two more immediate things, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, with one of the questions is school aid. And so the House will be moving a bill through committee on Monday that goes quite a bit above what the governor and the Senate have recommended. And I think that directly comes back to the city. I shared that with both Superintendent Lewis Central, Superintendent Hazing, and Superintendent Murillo, and while they would like more, they certainly like what we're trying to do much more, and it will mean more resources coming into those two school districts. So that's one thing. The other thing is I'm on the Education Appropriations Subcommittee, which funds community colleges, and working very, very hard to continue to increase, and we absolutely will go above what the governor has recommended there because it was not sufficient. And then one thing that probably won't pass, but I just bring it up, that could help some local students, is I've introduced a bill that would say that if you get a 35 or 36 on your ACT score, you get your full ride to any Regents institution, which kind of happens already. If you're that kid, you're probably going to get everything from the school. But in this age of where we want to play college athletes, which I'm okay with, well, not the way they're doing it, but I think that's legitimate. My bill would also say that you'll get $5,000 a semester stipend to stay in Iowa and go to school here, just like we're going to give athletes money. How about we give the best, the smartest kids some money too, which wouldn't be that much. There's not that many kids, but it's to make the point that, well, I didn't mean that meanly. Not everybody, there's not a lot of kids who get a 36. Lord knows I wasn't close, but you know, it's just it's to make a point. Let's do our best to keep those kids in Iowa if we can. And $5,000 a semester might keep them here. So I'd like to see that bill move. I don't know that it would. It wouldn't have a big fiscal impact, but that could have an effect on local.
Just real quick, I just want to clarify something, just because we are in a public forum. I want to make sure it's all correct. It's actually 25 million for the nursing homes is what the initial number is in there, which is fantastic. And actually that's what they have asked for, which is really, really needed, because we have lost 31 nursing home and skilled nursing facilities all across the state of Iowa over the last 5 years. So that is fantastic. I love that that was in there. I also mentioned as well that I was very, very pleased that the governor, in her speech, she finally declared war on cancer, which is something that's very, very needed. I think some of you have heard me mention this is something I've tried to bring a lot of attention to. Second highest rate for cancer out of any state, only state with a growing cancer rate, unless you take Utah, which has such a low rate that it's really not increasing. $1 million we're going to appropriate towards that to try to find out exactly what's taking place that would go to the University of Iowa to address pediatric cancer. I've run the same bill that I ran last year, which would be to put $1 for every Iowan towards that, $3.2 million. But nonetheless, some great things.